A fake pass, or a fake handoff, now a pass. The receiver catches it. It's Hunter. He's in the end zone. Adorzal Hunter, his 21st reception of the season, his 4th for a touchdown. That time he caught the ball around the 10-yard line, was wrapped up semi-good right then, and then took the defender on his back all the way into the end zone for another Ranger touchdown. It's 29-3 with 2 minutes and 56 seconds to go in the second quarter.
Welcome to Inside Rangers Football. I'm your host, Brant Freeman, with Smithson Valley head coach Larry Hill. The Rangers are moving on to round 2 as they won their playoff opener this past week, 37-9 over San Antonio Jay at Ranger Stadium. And Coach, boy, all 3 phases, your football team looked pretty impressive this past Friday.
Well, we think so. We had really focused on getting a better start. For 4 weeks in a row, we hadn't started well in really any phase, and we had trailed in all 4 games in the first quarter. Fortunate enough to win, to come back and win 3 of those games, but you can't always get off to a fast start, but it would be nice to do it occasionally. Mm-hmm. And we were able to do that the other night. We got a bunch of 3-and-outs, short fields for our offense, who were very opportunistic, showed the ability to drive the ball in, quick strike upfield, one-play drives, and kicking game was instrumental. So, the goal in the playoffs is to move on to next week, and we were able to get that done.
You mentioned the quick strikes. Every week when I ask you about your keys to the game, you say you need explosive plays because it's tough against anybody this time of year to drive the football, right. 8-9 plays, 80 yards. You look at the play of Levi Williams. He only completed 6 passes, 3 of them for touchdowns and for 187 yards, so the explosive play was there. Looking at Levi's play from this past week and the offense as a whole, what was most impressive?
Well, I thought our consistency in the first half, both Levi and the offense in general, I thought we were hitting on all cylinders, avoiding negative plays, which we'd had a little rash of, and not falling behind the change. And then you can make those explosive plays on normal down and distances. Hard to do that on 2nd and long, 3rd and long, that sort of thing. And then halftime came, we were up 37-3, and so he didn't play the second half, and we were able to kind of pull in the flaps a little bit, but it was nice to get that done when we needed it early.
Some teams who are explosive offensively have a tough time grinding out the clock when it calls for it, but you look at the play in the second half, and you were able to run the football effectively. Mark Franco, 18 carries for him, nearly 100 yards. Ran for a couple of touchdowns. You didn't have Nick Aiken in the backfield on Friday, but Mark Franco, to give him the football 18 times, what did that say?
Well, we wanted to do that too. We wanted, as you said, to be quick strike up the field, but we also wanted to go right at them. I think to be the type of team you want to be, you've got to be able to do a little bit of everything. I don't think you can be one-dimensional. And our downhill running game, I thought, just got better and better, and I thought our offensive line kind of warmed down in the second half.
When we previewed the game last week, we spoke highly about their offense. Jacob Zeno, really athletic quarterback. Jalen Hastings, great numbers in the backfield at running back. This was a team that had scored 58 the week prior to get into the playoffs. You held them to only 9 points, just the 1 touchdown. Defensively, what stood out for you this past Friday?
Well, you mentioned explosive offensive plays. I thought not giving up explosives to their offense was big. Make them drive the ball. They don't get the 70, 80-yard run or big throw or whatever. And you mentioned it earlier. It's hard to drive the ball, long drives, sustained drives, when both teams are pretty comparable, which is all you'll play in the playoffs. So I think the best thing we didn't get a lot of takeaways, didn't get a lot of sacks, things like that, but we kept them behind the chains a little bit and got a lot of 3-and-outs.
We said it earlier in the open that this game was at Ranger Stadium. How special was it to play in front of the home crowd in a playoff game?
Well, that's always big, and with the rule like it is now, the higher seeded team gets to play at home. Winning the district championship enabled us to do that. I know our seniors in particular, but our whole team was excited to be able to do that. And, obviously with the happy ending and moving on to next week, it was really a special night.
A lot of big plays for the Rangers in their 37-9 win over the Mustangs from this past Friday. Let's take a look at some of the big plays and our plays of the week.
Yeah, let's take a look. Our first big play is an 80-yard touchdown throw and catch from Levi Williams to Trayvon Merrick-Woodard. As the play unfolds, you can see Trayvon down here in the slot as the inside receiver, and then a safety across from him matched up. Trayvon's going to go down, fake out a little bit, and then bend it off back into a avoided area of the defense. Play comes across, there's the ball. You can see the distance that he put between him and the safety with the outside move. So he's got quite a bit of space to work with. The ball's well thrown, well caught. And of course, then he's able to use his foot speed to turn it on and just really straight lines it all the way to the end zone. 80-yard throw and catch, kind of put a lot of distance between us there in the first half. From the rear, you can see the middle of the field quite a bit open. So that's the void that we're trying to get in. As the play unfolds, we fake run and draw the safety and the linebacker, the two that potentially could cover into that area, draw them in with the run fake. And then the ball's away. You see we're throwing it over the linebacker and into that voided area, and then there's the throw and catch. And of course the run after the catch. And big play, you know, like I said, distanced us a little bit between us and them early in the ball game. Next big play is a special teams play. It's a bloop kickoff. A lot of times they're trying to kick away from our guys deep. This ball comes down on about the 30, 32-yard line to Ethan Seal, one of our junior safeties who also excels in the special teams. He makes the catch, and they're bearing down on him with two guys, but you can see some blocks coming from the middle of the field. That's Devin Moorhead on the left, and on the right is Tom Zoy, a couple of underclassmen who excel in special teams. They get those blocks, keep them off of Ethan. Then Ethan goes right down the sideline, makes a move, runs it all the way down to the 43-yard line, gives us great field position to open. From the end zone, you can get a little bit better look at it. You can see Trayvon and Mason Pierce back here hoping to catch the kick, but they kick it short. And there's Ethan catching the ball right there on the 32, and there's the two guys coming down on him. As by design, I'm sure they're hoping that those guys will make the tackle upon catch. But we get those kick-out blocks from Devin on the left, Tom on the right, there, and that allows Ethan to get down the sideline. And as I said, gives us great field position, and we go in to score. One of our defensive big plays involves first senior outside linebacker Jacob Zuber. Jay's in a formation that they frequently roll out pass, and that's what they'll do here. You can see the arrow from the quarterback's head going to the outside. Jacob's there to draw the double team. As the play unfolds, you can watch their left tackle and their running back both feel like we're blitzing off the edge. He draws both blocks and then backs away. Draws the two blocks, and when he does that, that allows senior defensive end C.J. Keeler to go inside and make the sack on the quarterback. C.J. got the sack. Jacob set him up. If you watch it from the rear, the camera picks up a little late, but you see both blockers moving toward Jacob, and then Jacob backing away, and C.J. coming through the voided area. Sacks the quarterback, throws him behind the chains, and we stop the drive going and get the ball back. And those are our plays of the week.
Now, Coach, that last play, the one defensively that led to the sack, you look at the play of C.J. Keeler, Jacob Zuber. They've been so good for you defensively this season. Looking at their play throughout the year, what has been most impressive?
Well, you know, those guys are two-year starters. Were involved in 12 games a year ago, 11 games now. So 23rd game, not a whole lot surprises them. And, you know, they've gone from being physically talented players, which both of them are, to crafty veteran physically talented players. You know, the nuances of the game, like you just saw, drawing blocks, creating an opening for another. Mm-hmm. And, you know, then that rubs off on our younger players, and you begin to see them begin to do things like that as well. So leadership as well as good play on the field.
Again, Smithson Valley a 37-9 win over Jay this past Friday. The opponent this Friday, the Austin Westlake Chaparrals. The game will preview coming up next as Inside Rangers football continues in just a moment.
We just got the GVTC Connect home with Sky Bell.
Wow, you can see who's at your front door. Who is that?
Hello, Mr. Mueller. It's Marty from GVTC.
That's Mason Pierce, senior wide receiver and defensive back for the Rangers.
No, just Marty. Making sure everything's working. Video, doorbell, remote arming and disarming of your alarm, and you're getting text messages when windows or doors are opened.
Marty, watch this. RANGERS, Rangers, Rangers!
The best! I mean, the best security on the planet.
And welcome back to the studios of Inside Rangers Football. Coming up, a preview of Friday's game against Austin Westlake. But first, time for this week's Little Men with Coach Hill.
One of the most common tactics of offensive football is to try to outnumber the defense at the point of attack. One popular way is to put 3 wide receivers against 2 defensive backs for obvious reasons. You have one more than the defense has. Defenses are very well aware of this, as is the Smithson Valley defense. So we've got to have a way to get the numbers back in our favor and don't let the offense outnumber us. Here today is Coach Doug Ulbrich, longtime safety coach here at Smithson Valley, and he's going to talk for just a few minutes in the little men segment about snake coverage. Our snake coverage is a way for us to defend 3 receivers when they're trying to get 3 on 2. So Coach Ulbrich, if you'll talk to us about snake on the little men.
And on snake coverage, we take a strong safety and we roll him down into coverage. That is the flat area, not a deep coverage. The other 3 DBs in the coverage will cover the deep zones. Rotating it over to the heavy side where the multiple receivers are allows us to be equal in number so they can't outnumber us. Usually every time we play a game and somebody runs oversets, our first thing to do is to go to snake coverage to match back up numbers. Okay, on the board I already have it set up to where the receiver that was on this side of the field is over here, therefore they're outnumbering us. We've got 3 wide receivers who can be deep threats right now. That's why the strong safety has moved down to this position. The middle safety has come over to help a little bit. The corner's backed off because there's no receiver over there. If they bring another receiver over, then we're truly outnumbered, and that's why we run snake coverage.
Snake coverage. Now let's go to some game clips and see it in action.
In this play right here, Wagner's running overset, and we have rotated into snake to match up the numbers. You see the 3 receivers that are heavy to one side. You see our DBs moving to where they need to be. Okay. Safety steps up. He's a force player in this situation. Turns the ball back in. We make the play. In the next one, they're fixing to overload to one side. You will see our secondary rotate up to even the numbers out. In this case, it is a pass play, and our safety is a flat defender, and he is breaking on the football. In the third, in this situation, we have a stunt by the Mike and the Will linebacker, which will force us to rotate down at safety to match up with numbers, and it allows us a free linebacker stunt to make a big play.
Snake coverage, a way to get the numbers back in our defense's favor. Now let's go to Ranger Trivia.
This week in Rangers Trivia, Friday's upcoming game isn't the first postseason meeting between Smithson Valley and Austin Westlake. When was the last time the Rangers and Chaparrals faced each other in the playoffs? Is the answer A, 2002, B, 2005, or C, 2008? The answer is A, 2002. That year, like this year, Smithson Valley and Austin Westlake faced each other in the second round, and the Rangers won that day and later made a run all the way to the state championship game against Southlake Carroll, a team coached by Todd Dodge, the current coach at Westlake.
So yes, Friday's upcoming playoff game, not the first postseason meeting between Smithson Valley and Austin Westlake. The prior one came 15 years ago, back in 2002. Coach, what do you recall about that game?
Well, it was a second round game, just like this one is. We had actually played them in a non-district game earlier in the year, and they'd beaten us several touchdowns up there. And they were coming off a state finalist year. We were coming off a state finalist year from the year before. So we played over at San Marcos, and we just, it's just one of those days where everything worked well for you. I think we won 41-6. I think we're up 35-6 at the half, and I don't know if we could have done that again, but we did it that one time when it mattered.
Well, I don't know if we can call it a rematch, but the two will meet again this Friday in San Antonio. A game we'll preview coming up next. Back with more Inside Rangers football in just a moment.
Make memories of a lifetime this Thanksgiving weekend at Bernie's 18th Annual Dickens on Main celebration, Friday and Saturday, November 24th and 25th. Stroll Main Street Snowy Wonderland as you enjoy live ice sculpting, a 60-foot snow slide, photos with Santa, and of course holiday shopping along Bernie's Hill Country Mile. Dickens on Main features fun children's activities, live performances like Bah Humbug, a one-man Christmas carol, horse-drawn carriages, food merchants, and amazing concerts each night. And admission is free. Visit dickensonmain.com for all the details.
Whether you're looking to build a new home, buy your first car, or follow your dream of being your own boss, let a neighbor help you. We understand your financial needs because we live and work here. Sage Capital Bank.
Just press enter and your GBTC home DVR will record your show automatically.
Thanks, Doug from GBTC, who looks exactly like Ranger Senior CJ Keeler.
I'm just Doug, here to help.
Fumble!
Here you go. Can I help you set up your favorite channel list now?
Welcome back to Inside Rangers Football. Smithson Valley in round 2 action this Friday afternoon, the day after Thanksgiving in San Antonio at Alamo Stadium against the 3rd-ranked Austin Westlake Chaparrals. They are 11-0 this season, coming off the heels of a 62-14 playoff opening win over MacArthur from this past Friday. And Coach, obviously, any opponent at this time of year is going to be very good. Looking at Westlake, just how good are they?
Well, they're as good as advertised, in every phase of the game. I think when you're high scoring like they are, sometimes your defense could possibly get overlooked, but their defense is outstanding. It'd be one of the best, maybe the best, I don't know, that we've gone up against. Their kicking game is sound and good. They're well coached, they're talented, they have great tradition, of course, as most people know, and so nothing really there to dig into other than you're just going to have to settle in for the long day and play them toe-to-toe.
The Chaparrals over the past 3+ seasons, a record of 36-5 under 4th-year head coach Todd Dodge. And Coach, you have some history against Coach Dodge, one of the great coaches in the history of this sport.
Yes, we've, of course, Coach Dodge was at South Lake Carroll back in the early to mid-2000s, and we played them in the state championship game twice, once at the Alamo Dome and once up at Old Texas Stadium, and of course, then Coach went into college coaching for a while and recently returned to high school ranks, and of course has done a great career there at Westlake.
You look at the Chaparral offense, and I don't know where you begin. You look at the quarterback, Taylor Anderson, dual threat, has over 2,800 total yards of offense this season. In the backfield, a Wisconsin commit in Nakia Watson. So when you focus defensively, what are you focusing on?
You can't really focus on one thing. Those receivers are really talented, both their inside and outside receivers. The back, as you mentioned, the Wisconsin commit. Quarterback, of course, has to be multi-talented and multifaceted to run that style of offense. But the athleticism of their offensive line, as in most offenses, will get overlooked. But those guys really play well. So it's not a case where, hey, let's stop the run and we'll live with the pass, or the other way around. We're going to have to be good at all of it.
You spoke earlier about the Chaparrals defensively. They have 70 tackles for loss this season, 31 sacks. They have forced 15 interceptions defensively as well. They are living in opponents' backfields, forcing quarterbacks into making bad decisions. What challenges does that front seven present?
Well, they're very multiple in their looks and in their blitzes, and try to create chaos up front for you, and maybe blown assignments, turn somebody loose, that kind of thing. And the athleticism of their front seven is so good that if there's an opening there, they're through it, and they can chase you down. And I think it's the key to their defense.
Speaking of keys, I would think a huge key to this game for either team would be special teams play. Just how big will that loom this coming Friday?
Well, I think it's always big in big games. I think sometimes if it's lopsided, a mismatch, and maybe it's downplayed. But assuming the game goes like we hope it can go, then that could be an area that tips the scales in your favor. That's obviously what we're hoping for. Having said that, they're very good in the special teams. Their kicker's really good, and they're very sound and good at what they do. So finding an opening there to make a difference is a little easier said than done, but we're going to have to find a way. Special,
of course, to be playing this time of year in the playoffs in round 2, but also, Coach, it is a holiday week. Thanksgiving on Friday, you play the day after. Just how significant is it to be playing this time of year?
Well, it's always fun. I can think back to '97, I guess, the first time we ever practiced over the Thanksgiving break and played the day after. And it's kind of neat. Kids kind of sense it. Everybody else, all my friends at other schools are done, and of course, I'm up here at school. No one else is up at school. We're practicing. The weather's a little cooler. I've got the rest of the afternoon off after this is done, and then on top of that, we're just making special memories playing this deep into November.
Well, Coach, best of luck this Friday against Austin Westlake.
Thank you, Brant.
Again, kickoff is at 1 o'clock from Alamo Stadium in San Antonio. We'll have live coverage on the Rangers Network starting at 12:45. For Coach Hill, I'm Brant Freeman. This has been Inside Rangers Football. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll catch up with you again next week.